All right, hello, welcome. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Hopefully this isn't too echoey. I'm going to give it just a second to see whether or not this is all right. I'm going to look at the chat to see if you can help me out. Let's see, am I echoing like hell or is that just me? Can you tell me, chat, if I've gone horribly wrong or not? Volume's low. Okay, we can fix that. Sound is good, excellent, wonderful, fabulous. Hello, welcome, good evening. Right, we are going to try and do two things. Mic volume up a wee bit. We can do this. Let's do that and that there. Please tell me low volume still is fine for some people, not for others. No echo, quiet though. Okay, I can cope with the echo. Up now, cool, excellent. Lovely, quiet but no echo. Brilliant, fabulous. Volume is low. If I come in very close to the microphone in an ASMR type way. Very low. I'm mumbling, old chap. Better, that sounds good. Talk more loudly, all good now. Better. Oh, do you know what? I'm going to go for that. Right, okay. All right, bear with me then. So, good evening, welcome, hello, thank you so much for coming along. This, as I have said before, scares the absolute living piss out of me because it's completely out of my wheelhouse because normally I can control the technology, but I can't do it. Very loud now. Rats, hang on. Let's try and do this, and we'll go to there and there. Hopefully this works. Look, if it sounds too terrible and awful, and it's not making any sense, or I'm too loud, do keep chatting in the chat. I will keep a close eye on it. And the problem is, the way that this works is essentially you have a bit of a delay between my talking and you responding. But if you wouldn't mind keeping responding, that would be immensely helpful to me. Thank you. So let's do this. Let's go here. Right. Welcome to Kerbal Space Program. For those that don't know what it is, this is what I'm referring to as fuck, I'm stuck, for reasons that I will explain in a minute. It's all good on mobile, happy days, lovely. Maybe lower a bit. Okay, we'll go a little tiny bit lower, see if that works. Peaking something in the signal change. Hopefully this is going to work out okay. I'm going to try and keep an eye on my sound levels. There is always a challenge with these things, and as you are picking up a certain amount of scuff when you do live stuff, but I'm hoping as I come away a bit from the microphone that I can just talk to you a bit more naturally, and it probably doesn't echo in my ears, which hopefully means it's not peaking in yours. Right, hang on, let's get the Kerbal thing back up again. So, very lovely of all of you to turn up this evening. I deeply appreciate it. This is a bit of a weird milestone for me because I never in a million years thought that I would ever get to 100,000 subscribers. It's a slightly insane number. And so in order to try and say thank you to you, I thought I would try and answer some questions. Now, what I did before we started this stream is I asked a bunch of people in my Patreon whether they had questions for me, and then some other people that you may have seen on YouTube, probably all of you here because you saw the YouTube post. I have 116 questions to try and answer, kids. We are not going to get through them all. Good. Okay, fine. All right. I think we are there or thereabouts. I'm not going to adjust my volume. Could I just ask you to adjust yours from here on out? We'll stay at this level. If it's really quiet, we'll come back. If it's too loud, we'll also come back. But I'm going to try and stay at this level because I think it's about right for most people. I hope. We'll see. Bear with me. I'm doing this very much single-handed. As you can tell, I have no support or crutches of any kind, and as a result, it's entirely conceivable that I might sound like I'm rambling or I'm stumbling. It is because I'm actually trying to do 15 things at once. The most challenging of which is to try and play this stupid fucking game, which I love, but which I'm terrible beyond description at. So we'll talk through that scenario in just a second. I'm also going to try and respond to your chat as we go, which is all great and dandy and lovely. But it means I'm also keeping an eye on two screens at once because, like an idiot, this is full screen and I have two screens, but the other one is not very big. So bear with me. I may even get my phone out at some point. Your your volume is max. You can barely hear me. What are you doing with the other hand? Well, I don't think you should ask questions like that, frankly. Right. It's terribly quiet. Clear, but just terribly quiet. Right, okay. Fucking bollocks. Let's just go up a smidgen. We can go here. We can go here. Hopefully that works a bit better then. We'll see how we're doing. All right, cool. Excellent. So, this is Kerbal Space Program. Right. For those of you that are not familiar with it, this is space frogs trying to do clever things with rockets. Kerbals, don't worry about them too much. They naturally want to die in a rocket, certainly under my gentle tutelage they do. And if I go over here to the tracking station, you can see that I've got one or two things in flight at the moment. Just checking. Perfection. Yes, that's louder. Better. Good. Excellent. Brilliant. Right. So, all right. So you will notice down the left-hand side here, for those that aren't familiar with the game, basically you launch rockets from Kerbal and you fly them to other planets. Kerbal is... It's got a daylight length of 6 hours, I think. So it's about a quarter scale-ish. All has not gone well. I decided to send a bunch of rockets out to the analog of Duna, which is Mars. Sorry, analog of Mars, which is Duna, in the game. When I first started playing, as you can see here, this has got a little date here. So MET 4 years, 277 days. That is how long they have been on Mars for. And they should have been home by now. Should we go and see them? Let's go and see them. This is the Fuck I'm Stuck station. And unfortunately, a bunch of my Kerbals, including some of my key people, are stuck here on Mars. And you will notice here, this is the Trafford Lee Mallory rover, because it doesn't fucking work. And this is my science station, which has also basically ceased to work. It has totally generated 9.6 science. So that's, for those that aren't familiar, that's not good. That's not good enough. We are trapped somewhere on sort of the middle of Duna. If I come out and have a look at the map, you'll sort of see we're on the dark side at the moment. But basically, we're right in the middle of the plains. Good, excellent. So, all right, this lot of here, if I come back in, so we've got 2 Kerbals trapped in the science station. We've got 1 on board the rover here. So I can potentially put 2 more Kerbals in the back here and evacuate them somewhere else. This may become relevant later, or it may not. All right, let's get back to the tracking station, which I've done the wrong way around. So let's have a look here. So in order to go and rescue these chaps, what I should probably do is try and fly a mission from here, this is Kerbal, out to where those red lines are going, out to Duna out there in the distance, fly directly there, go and pick them up off the surface and fly them home. It's not as easy as that. So the challenge I've got, basically, is because I'm shit at this game, is I cannot find a way to get something which can hold 3 Kerbals, and I need a 4th one to fly it, to land somewhere close that isn't going to explode and die. So I've come up with plan B, which is not a brilliant plan, but it is a plan. So what we have got here is down on the surface of Minmus, which is our sort of second moon bit, we've got, hang on a second, it'll load in a moment, we've got a science station, which is all terribly fun. Here we are, there's a science station. It terrifyingly, every time I load this up, and I don't know if this is just because of the mods I've got installed, it makes everything bounce, and sometimes they fall over and explode. But anyway, right, so in here, we've got 2 more Kerbals, and in here, we've got another one. So we've actually got 3 Kerbals down on the surface. Now, my great plan was we were going to build an ore refinery down here, but it didn't work. It didn't work at all. So what I have, I've wound up going with the most convoluted. This is a proper World War One. Let's time the artillery whilst the guys move behind it stuff. Nothing can possibly go wrong with this plan. Let me walk you through the genius that is my plan. So if we go to the tracking station again. Yeah, sadly, Dowdian's wood chipper kind of does fly, actually. So if I go to Minmus, where are we? Right. What I've managed to get into orbit around Minmus is the T.E. Lawrence refinery. And by a miracle, I've managed to get it to actually dock with my space station. So the space station on the right-hand side and the TE Lawrence on the left. You will note that the configuration is a little unusual in that they're both upside down. And that points to my skill as a rendezvous master, i.e. I have no rendezvous skills. I'm just going to extend my solar panels here. The plan, such as it is that this thing on the left-hand side is going to get an ore ship that's going to come and dock with it on ideally that port there, because it's the only available port. Or if needs be, it could dock with one of the ports down here. And in theory, it should be able to feed the ore into the refinery, which should make fuel, which you'll notice these tanks are empty. And then I can use this basically to refuel things coming from Kerbin up, and therefore I can make long-range approaches to Duna, having used all the delta V that I need to use in order to get off the surface of Kerbin. Out here, I can refuel them, and they can go on to Duna, land on Duna, pick up our Kerbals, and bring them home safely. But it does require me to do an awful lot of things. So, let's get the old tracking station up here again. So, Jude, what's your favourite World War II aeroplane? And I love your videos and this live stream. Well, you're very generous to say anything nice about this live stream at all because it's a car crash. But what's my favourite World War II? Do you know what? It changes depending on what mood I'm in. And I'm sure it's the same thing. If you ask somebody what's their favourite song, they probably can't tell you off the top of their heads. Most days, if you ask me, it's probably the Sunderland, because it's just an amazing flying boat. And I have visions of winning the lottery, or several lotteries actually, getting one, flying again, and using it basically as an airborne camper van, because I think that would just be amazing. For those that aren't familiar, 4 engines, seaplane, 10 crew, its own galley, sleeping areas. It carried depth charges, it carried bombs, it carried machine guns, huge range. Amazing piece of kit. You could imagine flying that basically anywhere in the world, landing it on the water, opening the port, and fishing whilst, you have a couple of brandies on the veranda. It would be lovely. It's an amazing plane. So that's, if you ask me, most days, that's what I think my favourite plane is. So thank you for the question. Craig, greetings from Poland. Greetings from the... shit. Right. Jump to vessel. So this is part 2 of the plan. In order to try and do this, this here is actually a booster engine, what I put a little probe on the end of in here, who is capable, if I do this right, of rendezvousing with that space station, which is somewhere over here. Let me get this up here. So at the moment, he's either 60 or 50k out. What we could potentially do, if we get this right, is we could get this to dock with that station I brought up a minute ago, and theoretically I can bring the two together, and this then becomes a fuel tank, which is kind of already half filled, which makes my life easier from an ore collection point of view. That's the plan. I don't know how well it's going to work, but yes. Right, okay, so what I should probably try and do whilst we are sitting here, because we've got 26 seconds, I'll tell you what, I'm going to do this burn, and then I'm going to answer some questions which came from my Patreon. And what I've tried to do is I've tried to put them into some semblance of order. So I've put them together in kind of category areas, because people ask me similar kinds of questions, and I'll try and tackle them off. I'm obviously going to try and deal with my Patreon questions first, but do drop questions into the chat. I will do my level best to try and keep up with it, but it's on a different screen, and in my tiny little brain I thought, this would be really easy, but it's really not easy to keep up. So who knows how well this is going to work. Right, where are we? 9 seconds. Are we on target? Yes, we're on target. Let's do the thing. Where's my burn? Where's my burn? Turn everything off. Burn. Right. We need to burn now. Where's my rendezvous? I have to concentrate for this bit. We're 30, 27, 26, 24, 21, 20, 19. We are 600 meters. Lovely job. There we go. Okay, so what I'm looking at, by the way, if you're not clear, is this down here. So this intersect 2, so that's over there, which of course I've managed to do so that we're going to be in the dark, which is always nice. We're going to try and rendezvous from there. Okay, cool. So that will rendezvous in 2 hours. Don't worry, this stream is not going to go on that long. We have the advantage of time warp. But what I am going to do is I'm going to put a maneuver in here, which I'm not going to fill in. And then we're going to put an alarm clock on it. Where are we? Fuel tank. Fuel tank. Space station. RV warning. Lovely. Apply changes. Happy days. Right, okay. And that's an hour away. So that's cool. Right, let's try and answer some questions. So let's go. Oh, that's interesting. Right, so when I scroll on the chat, we get to scroll, as you can tell if I'm looking at the chat over here, even though, right, okay, fine. So let's go back up a little bit. Let's go to the top. Okay. Use a core probe, you won't need a pilot. Yes, I know that. Unfortunately, the core probes I've got are a bit shit. So I can't hold on the target. Is it you or are you lot on meths? Yes, probably. What mods are you running? I'm using all kinds of mods to make them pretty, but the one mods I'm not using is altering the surfaces of the planets, because rovers in KSP are rubbish, and if you start putting boulders in their way, then basically you can't move around. So I'm not using those mods. But basically parallaxis, volumetric clouds, scatter, mechjeb, I think that's it. There's the main ones. Right. Okay. Let me answer some questions. Bear with me. Okay. So, various folks have asked me. Waterman 4.2, Cypher Hornet 18, Carruthers 323, who is an arse, by the way. Lovely arse, but an arse nonetheless. Have all kind of asked me, how did you wind up doing this? And the answer is completely by accident. I decided, for reasons lost in the mist of time, that what I would do is start talking about history. Because basically I've read, and I'm sure a lot of you have too, read history, and particularly World War II history, for most of my life, which has been an interesting experience, and mostly intellectual, and particularly when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, the attempts, well, the beginnings to think about the fact that the far right was coming back again, and that was a real problem. And I wanted to understand what had motivated Nazism. And then you have this horrific crime, which is the Holocaust. And how did it come about? What were the origins of it? How do you get from a point where you are chanting with slogans on a street to the point where you are putting people into gas chambers? That felt like a thing that needed to be understood. And if I'm honest, I began to read Second World War history because of that. And I read a lot of it because I wanted to understand, including, I've got it on the thing behind me, so a chap called Michael Burley, and I'm holding it in my hand now, but obviously you can't see me, which is, he wrote a book called The Third Reich, A New History, which I think was published in 92, 93, maybe a bit later, maybe 94. Where are we? Hang on, I'll see. When was it published? Actually, bugger doesn't tell me in the front. But around then. And basically, Burley was the first centre-right writer, I would say, that wrote a history. 2001 was this edition, first published 2000. He was the first writer to sit down and sort of start to write without a specifically Marxist lens on things, which was interesting to me at the time, because an awful lot of academic historians, certainly in the 60s and 70s, had a very Marxist perspective, and it was interesting to hear somebody that was avowedly from the right talking about the horror of the Third Reich. That was fascinating to me. So reading that alongside a lot of other stuff made me go, well, actually, I want to read more World War II history. I want to understand what actually happened, and I want to be able to, if I see it happening again, identify it and find it. And guess what? Today it's kind of happening. So that did make me start to go, well, actually, do you know what? I need to be on my guard, and maybe I should talk to other people about it, because it's a thing which is going on right now in the world. So that's why I started. I had no belief at all that anybody would ever pay any attention, and then it sort of blew up. which is great, but also slightly terrifying. But I did come at it from an avowedly, I think this is a real problem. We have a real problem with narcissism in the world, and we should talk about it, and we should do something about it, and I still believe that now. Narcissism was not an aberration, unfortunately. It was a continuation and an extreme version of what's happened before. So that's why I started to do it. I hope that makes sense, and that's a very, very long explanation, and we've got 116 questions to get through, and if I answer them at that kind of length, we will be completely stuffed. So let me try and find more questions then. So, why did you do YouTube? I did it because it was there. I'm a sort of, just because what else do you do? It kind of made sense to try and do it that way. And I could have done it on other ways as well, but I just felt that I quite like making videos. I'm okay at presenting. I've done quite a lot of it in my professional life, and it would be all right. I hadn't quite realised just how much research I'd wind up having to do in order to make this work. So bear with me, I'm going to shut up for a second. I'm just going to... So we need to try and get, by the way, in the background here, we need to try and get 5 Kerbals safely off the surface of Duna, and we need to do it in a way that doesn't involve this thing here, because this, my friends, is a trap. This bit, you'll notice, sticks out from the side of the space capsule here, and if that hits the atmosphere on our way back into Kerbin's atmosphere, we are all going to die. So we need to deal with that, and so we're going to do that now. I guess we're going to shove... Hang on. We're going to shove a decoupler on there before we get too carried away. Bear with me. That one should be the trick. Oh, too big. Too buckle, too buckle. There we go. That can go on that. That can go on that. Right. This will get us back into the atmosphere. Right. Okay. Ex-wife was narcissistic. She convinced me to move to 250 miles from home. Lovely. Okay. All right. Well, good. So, researching, editing, producing. Nova, Cypher Hornet, and Gormish, Chris, and Midnight Express all asked me similar kinds of questions. How do you research your videos? What major challenges have you run into when you're making them? What topics can't you cover because primary research doesn't exist? Fascinating question. What editing software do you use? Is there any topic that you'd like to cover but you don't have the resources for? Oh my God, right, okay, let's try and do this. We'll try and do this at once. Bear with me a second. So, how do you research for videos? Look, there's no shortcut to these things. You just have to research the video, right? You just got to read the fucking books. There is no way around it. There's no clever shortcut. You can't bypass it. You've just got to do the reading. As boring as it can be, as difficult as it can be, as complicated as it can be, you just have to read the fucking books. There's no way around it. You can do more, but for a YouTube video, so if you're going to do academic history, then like fair enough. You want to make sure that you go into the archives and you do loads of work out there, and that is, you know, that's really sensible and the smart thing to do, and you'd expect anybody to do it. But when you're doing a YouTube video, you get no brownie points for producing a video once a year, right? You kind of have to keep up with the cadence, and that necessarily means, to some extent, you're gonna have to, hang on just a sec, you're gonna have to take a certain amount of shortcuts. Shortcuts is probably the wrong term. You're going to approach it in a different way, let's call it that, because you want to provide people with an understanding of the narrative history of what's going on, but it's a narrative history, and that's good, and it all has its place. But you also want to research as best you can, which is why I put references into everything, because I really do want everybody to know that what I say is what I think, but I'm an amateur historian, right? I can get this shit wrong really fucking easily, and if I'm not jolly careful, I can make a mistake, a really obvious mistake that everybody will pick up on. And one of the things that happens in comments, of course, is that you wind up seeing things that you realise you've got horribly, horribly wrong, and you do your level best to try and put it right, which is why I put a snagging thing into every video, because I want you to know that whilst I'm an amateur historian and I'm doing my level best, I'm not always perfect, far from it, and I'm not up to date in the way. If you really, really want the next level of detail, go and read the authors that I'm referencing. Go and question those authors, go and have a look at it, go and have a look at it in detail. I hope that makes sense. Right, let me come back to chat. Bear with me a moment, because I've hidden it carefully from myself, like a moron. Cool, okay, so... so a few people very sweetly have said, oh, you should do topic X, you should do topic Y. And that's normally something that they know a lot about and they're fascinated by it. And that's great. And I love the fact that they're doing it. But fundamentally, you should just go and do that yourself. And that's all fine and dandy, right? You should just go and find a way of doing that for yourself. So if your particular passion is, for example, I've had people come to me and say, here's a particular piece of American aviation history. I don't know, Chennault's flyers, right, in China, the flying tigers. I know nothing about that. So I shall be starting from first principle in order to try and find out about it. It could take me a few years to get to the point where I can actually tell you about it. But if you know about that subject already, my goodness, go and start yourself a channel. Go and do this yourself. There is no need to wait for me. Bear with me, I've just realised I have a probe on top of this. And what could be nicer than a probe? Misses, right, there we go. So yeah, go and do it for yourself. Go and find your passion. Go and find the thing you want to go and do, and talk to people about it, right? And you might need to sit down, and the chances are the first time you speak and the first time you write a script, it will be dreadful, because it will be. But if you know your subject well enough and it's a compelling enough story, people will follow. And I can think of dozens of YouTube channels. I mean, take Drakenfeld's a good example. Drak is a fantastic naval historian. He's not a natural presenter, but everybody's hooked on what he's got to say, because what he's got to say is fascinating. It's unique. And so go and do that for yourself. But I am not going to be able to dance too hard for you, my friend. Okay, so various folks are saying, congratulations on 100,000 subs. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. So, Red Kit UK, I don't know how to say your name. Red Kit something UK. Go and look up Brixmas. Yeah. I'm very, very aware of Brixmas. I would love to do something on them. I actually have a contact with a chap that used to drive the yellow Land Rovers around East Germany. So for those that are not familiar, at the end of the Second World War, technically speaking, inside of Germany, both the Soviets and what became NATO forces could drive around anywhere in anybody else's territory in Germany, because they were supposed to be co-administering it. It was a technicality, obviously, but it was an interesting technicality. And so Brixmas was set up as the British observation team, who would drive around in bright yellow Land Rovers, and they would roll up to Soviet bases, and they would sit there with all the cameras and everything else in the world. And there were some obscure deals, like I don't think you were allowed to get out of the Land Rover. I think you had to be in a vehicle to do the observation. So it was kind of one of those, it's strictly legal, it's okay, but also everybody knows that the Soviets didn't like to share very much, and the East German police even less. So it's kind of one of those fascinating stories, and yeah, it's a really great topic. We should totally do that one day. Oh, your dad was in Brixmas. That's really cool, Honda. Yeah. There were quite a few people involved over the years. Fourth draw down. Should I buy a harp? Yeah, I mean, if you're any good at playing it, yeah, for sure. Right, so what major challenges have you come across? I'm going to try and be a bit briefer. What topic haven't you covered because of primary research doesn't exist? I mean, there's lots, right? There's lots and lots of stuff that got lost. The biggest and most obvious stuff is the stuff that happened with, certainly from a British point of view, it happened with the Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi parts of the Indian Army. For a very long time after the Second World War, there was a real stigma associated with people that had fought for the imperial power, so for Britain. And people like Sandra Bose got all the credit for having, quotes, fought for Indian independence when no one else would. Why the hell was I doing that? Oh, there we go. So what that effectively meant was that you wound up in a situation where you had, I think it was 2.5 million, maybe slightly less, Indians, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis who'd fought for, quotes, the Indian Army, the British Indian Army. And then I think it was 100,000 people that fought for Chandra Bose. And if you were one of those 2.5 million, you were seen as the bad person, and their history was totally ignored. And the Second World War was essentially ignored in Indian history as a result, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. That's changed in, I think, the last 10 years, but it definitely, Indian voices from, troopers in the Indian Army, by and large, don't exist, and that's really, 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 really sad, because they absolutely should have done. Bear with me a moment. Right, how much have we got there? Oh, nice. Okay, I'll come back to that in just a second. Save that for a moment. Right. So, is there a topic that you'd love to cover we don't have resources for? I'd love to cover the Eastern Front, right? The Eastern Front is totally fascinating, and it's huge, and I just don't have enough time to be able to go and do it properly. Bear with me for a moment. Her ladyship is about to steal some whiskey off me. This is most excellent. Right, let me just have a look at the chat here. So, do you have any plans in the future to do anything on Swedish planes? Absolutely not. Just because I haven't got the fucking time. I can't. There's too much out there. Go and check out Aviation Republic if you haven't already. Aviation Republic has done a fantastic series on the Draken and a couple of the other Swedish planes, and the TSR-2, and various other things as well. If you are not subscribed to Aviation Republic, go and do it. They are brilliant. You should check them out. Lord H, will you be covering anything on the Napoleonic stuff? Yes, I would love to cover the Napoleonic stuff, but not yet. And by I mean not yet, probably not this decade. What I've learned, having done this for a bit, so just for context, the Burma stuff, I'm about to do another video on Burma. It will be out ideally in the next week or two. I'm hoping it'll be out next weekend. I began to read for that episode and the episodes that will follow 6 months ago, whilst I was doing TSR-2 and Kordsky stuff, which is why I throw the odd plane in there, because they're relatively quick. They take me about a month or two to turn around. The Burma stuff takes me a lot longer. It's more complicated. It requires a lot more concentration, and I have to read 4 or 5 books around it. I'm dyslexic. It takes quite a while. If there's not an audiobook copy, it takes me for flipping ever to go and do. Then I need to probably read them again, because the first time I want to get a handle on the narrative history, I want to understand the flow, I want to understand the author's perspective. Then I will read them again with effectively pen and paper, and I will make notes on what I think I picked up. And then I will start to try and write out the episode. And quite often what happens is I start to write the episode because something cool happens. Like this one opens with the British troops and Indian troops entering Tamu at the bottom of the Dimapur-Tidim road, which is quite a big moment after the battles of Imphal. And I wanted to open with that, but I am only halfway through understanding the narrative flow of all the stuff that's going on about the advance back into Burma. So I'm writing and reading simultaneously, and that's quite difficult. So it takes me quite a long time to do it. So when you say, could you pick up Swedish planes from the Cold War? I mean, totally, my man, but I know nothing about it. It's going to take me like a year to get to it. Is that a priority? Probably not. Whereas would I like to do something like Bricksmith, which is really interesting to me? Yes, I'd love to do it, but again, it's probably a year out. In an ideal world, what we'll do next is we'll circle back to Operation Matterhorn, which is the Curtis LeMay effort to get bombers over the hump into China. That's probably where we'll go next after Burma, and then from that we'll handhold into the Tokyo bombings, and then we'll handhold into the actual atomic attack, which, with all being well, Alexander OK and I'm going to go and try and do. That's probably 8 months away. So hopefully that makes some sense. Right. Sorry, that was really long-winded. I hope I've still got people actually listening. Apologies. So various folks have come and said, my uncle, my grandfather, my father, my great-grandfather, my great-great-grandfather fought in Burma. It's really cool to hear, and I love those stories. So if that's you, please do comment on the videos and just tell me your story. I'm fascinated by it endlessly. I think, and other people should know their stories, so just do that. It's really cool. So I should answer this question directly. So a couple of people have said, what about the models you started to build? So for those that don't know, I began to build some models last year, and it did not go well. It did not go at all well. I I bought a really shonky spray gun to try and spray them with, and my garage and my house are fucking freezing, and as a result the paint all glooped up, and they look like they're being pebble dashed, and I lost all heart. And one of the models that I bought was from like 1976. It was older than me, and it was one of the first Legrand M3 tank models ever made by Tamiya, and it sat in my garage semi-completed and unpainted because I'm just terrified of spraying any paint onto it. So yeah, I'm sorry. I will give it another go, and I feel really bad about this because I help host the Christmas model kit thing, and I sort of feel like I should just do it and enter my horrible, crappy version of my model, because it's not going to be any good, but there we are. Right, okay, cool. So I'm mostly looking at the chat and not doing this. Let me do this for a minute, and I will come back to you in chat in a second. So let me get the Hap Arnold Memorial fuel tank, and let me get the ore lifter onto the surface. Let's do that. Let's do that. You can now watch me try and crash into the surface. Void aspect, that's very cool. If you don't know who Ronald Searle was, he was the guy that did St. Trinian's and Molesworth illustrations in the 50s, and he was a Japanese prisoner of war for a really long time. I think he was captured in Singapore. I could be wrong. Right, if we can just quick save this. Anyway, he hid a lot of his illustrations for St. Trinian's underneath his the straw he was sleeping on in the prisoner of war camp. And if you ever look at those illustrations and the joy and irreverence and glory of them, they're beautiful things to look at. They're really fun and they make you laugh. And then when you realise that they were drawn in a Japanese prisoner of war camp, that is another level. So yeah, respect to everybody that wound up getting out of those places. It was not cool. So, right, what we're going to do is we're going to try and drop this. So, actually, I tell you what, before we go too much further, let's get hold of that. flipping heck. Right, we'll do it through the tracking station. What we need to do, so we've got an ore lifter here. So it needs to land on the surface, deploy radiators, deploy solar panels, and try and extract some ore for me. And I need the right one. It's none of those things. Not that, not that. Hang on, what's that? Nope, not that. Ah, that's the one. Right. We need it to quickly scan the surface for us. 1976 is older than me, yes. I am old, but not that old. Right, what we've got here is this big Calypso thingy on the front. And what we should be able to do is... Right. Put that onto heat map green. Right. So I think what this means is down here by this cluster of bases is a little patch of ore just there. And if that doesn't work, there's another patch in that lowland bit down there. So if I can drop into either of those, I should. I think maybe I should aim for the green. Yeah, feck. I don't really know. Maybe I aim for site 1. Let's see what happens. Let's aim for site 1. Let's see what happens. Okay. So, where's my ore lifter gone? The wonderful joy. So, I assumed when I first started doing this that everybody would be about 5 that would be in my audience. And it turns out, pleasingly, that the distribution of the channel, except for people that are 13 to 18 who frankly shouldn't be watching it, is pretty much completely even across the age groups, which is kind of fascinating. So we have as many 25-year-olds as we do have 75-year-olds, which is kind of cool. Right, okay, so we are going to aim for the green, baby. I don't know if it's a good idea or a bad idea. Maybe we're not going to aim for the green. Fuck it, let's go for the red. Bollocks to it. I can't be asked to wait that long. Somebody that knows how to play this should probably do it. Thank you, Hans. That's very sweet of you, mate. Hansi Davion? Hansi Davion, I don't know how you say that. Right, okay. Let's shove this in retrograde. Because fuck it, we'll do this by eye. We're going to save, though, because when I screw this up, and I will absolutely 100% screw this up. Fuck it. Oh, hang on. I know what we should do. Is that up to full whack? No, it's not. Let's put that up to full whack. So we have 1,826 meters per second of delta V. Every single document I've ever read says that is about 15 times more than you need. Like in serious, it's probably, we should be able to get back to rendezvous with 1,000 meters per second. Marvel as I run out of juice. Right. Double this. And we're going to have to burn normal as we want to go up a bit. Sort of about there. That'll do. I'm going to try and drop it down in this region over here. Right. What could possibly go fucking wrong? Which smaller YouTube channels deserve more attention? That comes from Lady Mel. And then Nova asked me, what channels would you recommend and what would you avoid? And then what do you hate watch? So, I mean, like, in terms of what I watch, definitely Aviation Republic, Zwalander. There's a bunch of smaller channels that are out there. I would obviously say I watched things like Paper Skies, who are absolutely fantastic. It's not exactly a smaller channel. Rex, obviously not a smaller channel. Aircrew interviews, if you haven't seen them, absolutely worth watching. There's and I'll stick this in the description, there's a fantastic bunch of guys that are doing 1% True, that's the name of the YouTube channel, 1% True, who are interviewing some chaps who are doing a restoration job on the original P1B Lightning. So they're not going to get it flying, but they're going to get to the point where it could go into a museum because it's been sat in a shed for ages. So that's the second, I think it's the second prototype for the Lightning. Or might be the first production aircraft for the Lightning. It might even be that. And it's really, really cool. So they have managed to find all the bits and pieces. The guys that are doing it are fantastically committed to the project. And 1% True is well worth watching. Other channels out there that I really enjoy, most of them are a little bit bigger, just because of what's happened. Not a pound for Air to Ground. Fantastic channel. If you haven't come across them, you should absolutely watch them. They're bloody brilliant. They do an amazing job. An amazing job. Who else is out there? I'm just trying to think. Those are the ones that spring to mind at the moment. There will be many, many others. I mean, obviously, I follow Laserpig and Animarchy and Falcon and Zach and Alexander Oke and all the other guys in the NAFO group. So, yeah. What do I hate watch? I hate watch nothing. It makes me crazy. I throw things at the screen. But basically, there's an awful lot of AI slop and AI adjacent slop. I can't even remember the bald chap with the beard and the glasses that does about 25 different channels, all of which produce AI bullshit that's clearly researched by 3 guys in Hyderabad and then given to ChatGPT to kick out and have like millions of followers. And I'm really pleased for them that they can make a living that way, but I don't know how they sleep at night. It's fucking awful. It's really, 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 really bad. So screw those guys. And frankly, screw anybody that knows they're putting out stuff there that isn't true or that they can't back up, because it doesn't take that much effort to sort it the fuck out. Thank you to Jumble for the £5. Thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate it. Jenkins can put the sacking wrench down, even if this maneuver goes well. Well, maybe not. Sante, thank you for the €5. Really appreciate it. Look, this isn't a money-raising exercise, but I do appreciate the support. Thank you. Do you know what? Nubby Evo's put a thing on there about Apollo 11. So back to is there something you'd really like to do that you're not currently doing because you lack the resources? I would love to do Apollo 11 properly. And actually, there's a thought in my hindbrain that goes, maybe I talk to Alexander Oke about it because he's just autistic enough to help me. Between the two of us, we could do something really quite cool there. So, Alex, if you're listening, maybe we should think about that, mate, and just like give up our social lives for a couple of years. It'd be fucking awesome. Right. Okay, so what other questions have we got? Just whilst my lunar aircraft crashes to the ground. A few folks have asked me whether I would consider doing the American Civil War. Right. So first of all, Atu Shen, I think is how you say it, Films, has done the most brilliant coverage. So if you haven't watched it, he's a independent filmmaker, mostly horror stuff. But what he did is he spent quite a long time doing North versus South, conversations around myths and the Civil War. And I just think he did it brilliantly. And he finished the series off in the most amazing way possible, making like a full-on feature film. It's amazing. It's really cool. Watch that. I would love to do something about the American Civil War. I know a bit about it, but most of what I know is from scholarship that happened 30 years ago or more, which I thoroughly enjoy, but it is the political third rail. You can't have a sensible conversation about the American Civil War, or really American politics, which is really sad, because we should be able to do this stuff, but but we can't. There's no middle ground. And I can't cope with spending my life fighting off comments from people because I got the wrong side of musket ball at Gettysburg, which means that I'm there for a commie. I'm not doing it. And it's a real shame. So yeah, I read about the American Civil War for pleasure. Will I ever do a video on it? Probably not. I might pick somebody. There's some really cool people, particularly on the Union side, who don't get shouted out enough, who I'd love to do, but will I actually have the guts? I don't know, man. I don't know. Life is too fucking short. I think, maybe. Let's just bring that maneuver node in there. Right, that'll do us. Cool. Where are we? Checkmate Lincolnites. Yes, exactly, Collins Pierce. Thank you for reminding me what the hell is it called. That's exactly it. Checkmate Lincolnites. Go and watch it. It's a brilliant series. It's done so much better than I could ever do it, and it's bob on. So go do that thing. So Mike's saying, and quite reasonably, Mike Green saying, slavery seems like a pretty unnuanced subject. What would the middle ground be? No, you're quite right. There is no particular middle ground on it. Slavery is an unnuanced subject. There is not but the slaves had a really good time on certain plantations conversation. Fundamentally, no. Absolutely not. It's also kind of not my story to tell. When you get into the nuts and bolts of slavery specifically, I am a white man living in England. That's not my story to tell. I think there are better voices from people of African extraction, black people, people from the West Indies who could do that more justice than I can because it's closer to their hearts. I can talk about it in a different way, and maybe one day I will do a subject on slavery, particularly in the British Empire, which again I can talk about more easily than slavery in Virginia, for example, because I can talk about it because it's a British thing. The American experience is very different. So I hope that makes sense. Do you watch Drakenfell? If not, how are you going to repent of your sins? Morningstar, don't worry, I do watch Drakenfell. We were going to go to React together until it got cancelled, which is really distressing. Right. Are we close to crashing into... Not yet. Let's carry on. Naval Cold War, post-war topics. So Aussie and Waterman both ask about Cold War space programs and naval programs. So Aussie, I am absolutely never ever going to do a naval thing. Not that I don't love the Navy, it's fascinating, but I'm not your man. Drakenfell is right there for all of your naval needs, and I don't know anything about it. I just don't. Let's time warp in towards Minmas here. I know enough, and I've got about 25 books on my shelf down there, which I need to get around to reading at some point, which I was planning when I first started to do the whole YouTube thing. I was going to do like a Hearts of Oak type series that was going to be all around naval history and naval warfare. But then I realised I knew about the Battle of Trafalgar and Nelson, and that was it, and that's not really good enough. So I'm going to try and get together maybe with History of Everything and Rex and their the Lesser of Two Weevils channel. So if that's your thing, go and check out the Lesser of Two Weevils. It's a fantastic channel run by the two of them, and they do lots of the Age of Sail type stuff, and that'd be really cool. Maybe I could do one on there one day just as a one-off episode. We'll see how we go. Let's have a looky here. Diddly diddly dong. Michaela, thank you very much. I will indeed try and keep up the good work if I can. The Bluebird Project. This is Uncool Martin 460. The Bluebird Project is a cool channel. The interview video with 1/5 scale Merlin builder is excellent. That sounds amazing. Go check that out. Go check that out. Okay. Burb asked me, how much of a threat is China to Western democracy? Huh. Yeah, it's a real thing. It's a really, really scary fucking thing. I don't know how much of a threat it is to Western democracy in and of itself. It doesn't work as a threat without Western democracy being fundamentally in the shit, and it's fundamentally in the shit. I think we need to be mindful that the actors operating on the Western sphere, as it were, so people that are trying to put out disinformation, the guys that run the bots, the guys that run a good chunk of the right wing in the States and a good chunk of the left wing in Europe, are run by the FSB and the GRU and China State Security and North Korea, not because they're particularly got some clever, cohesive conspiracy that's going to bring down the West, so much as they just want to make it look disorganized. And that's fundamentally all their objective is. They will support left and right. They will support North and South. They'll support, loyalist, unionist, whatever. They will do that shit in order to just create disruption and noise. And we've totally fallen for it. Like, line and sinker. It's sort of just how we operate now. And that's really, really scary. So how much of a threat is China to Western democracy? Directly, none. Indirectly, massively. But it's not alone. There are a bunch of actors that are trying to do the same thing. And it's really fucking scary. The bottom line, and I'm allowed to do this because this is my 100k subscriber Q&A, and I've got a whiskey in my hands, and it's a nice evening, and it's been a lovely sunny day, and I will be completely transparent. Fundamentally, the centre ground in UK politics, in European politics, and especially in American politics, has to tell the extremes to go and fuck themselves. Right? Extremism, shouting at the opposition, the assumption that the people that you disagree with are subhuman, the idea that they can be othered and itted, and I don't care how extreme and stupid their views are, if you cannot see their point of view, if you can't see the fear in people living in the Midlands in the UK and what used to be the Labour bloc who've decided to vote reform, and you don't understand why they're upset and angry, all you can do is think of them as stupid. And the moment you think of your opposition as stupid, you're fucked. You have to think of your opposition as bright, intelligent human beings capable of making decisions that are every bit as good as yours, but they've made different decisions from you. Why? Answer that question and you have a chance of being able to have a dialogue. If you just assume that they're dickheads, you're stuffed. And we're currently stuffed because what we do is we shout at each other online, on social media, and that is breaking Western democracy. And that is really bad. So try not, even when they poll up, and God knows they poll up to me the whole time and shout about how they believe this or that thing, which would get me totally demonetized if I say it out loud on here, but apparently it's fine in the YouTube's comments. And it makes me really cross. And my first instinct is to tell them to go and fuck themselves. But that's the wrong answer to the question. You can ignore them. That is okay, by the way. One of the key tools to dealing with people like that is to totally ignore them. One of the key traps is to engage with them on their level. Don't accept the premise of the question. Don't accept that they are stupid, because they're not. And don't accept that you're right and they're wrong. And that's how we have to approach the world. And it's really complicated because there's not one universal truth here. It is really complicated. It is really difficult. And I encourage all of you to switch your brains on and think about it. Me too, right? I'm equally guilty of this. If I wake up in the morning and I'm a bit tired, or I'm in the evening, or I've had a couple of beers, whatever, and somebody puts a comment in my face and is like, I believe this completely demonetizing thing, and the instinct is to go, screw you. But it's the wrong flipping answer. We've got to turn our monkey brains off and we've got to turn our big brains on. So I will shut up on that. Right, that's quite enough of that. That was rather too serious. How would fighter command differ if Dowding had stayed? That was Corporal Tommy. Tommy asked me that question. Ooh. How would fighter command have differed if Dowding had stayed? Somebody else asked me, would you have stopped Dowding, if you'd been given a magic wand, how would you have defended Dowding from having retired? I think in all truth, and I mean this with a huge amount of respect because Dowding is one of my spirit animals, I would have let him retire. By the end of the Battle of Britain, he was fighting the battle during the day and he was doing all the night fighter stuff at night. And the reason he was doing the night fighter stuff was because he was the man that had been in charge of Chain Home, which was the radar chains. And he was seen as the most senior officer who understood it, which he probably was. And I don't think it was fair to ask him to do both jobs at once. And his conception of night fighting was wrong, which was pretty obvious even during the Battle of Britain, because he had this idea that it was going to happen on the ground. And in reality, the real trick was to pursuit airborne radar, which he did get to, but it probably took him longer than he should have done. And the only reason it took him longer was because he was tired. He was an older man doing literally the most stressful job in the world at the time, and I totally understand why he felt burnt out. If you gave him a magic wand and asked me how would I stop him from retiring, I would have given him night fighters as a thing to go and pursue with some bright young things like R.V. Jones to support him. That's what I would have done. How would it have changed if he hadn't retired? I don't think it would have been good. As much as Sholto Douglas and Trafford Leigh-Mallory fucked up fighter command, I think Dowding was done. I think he was done. And I think Churchill knew it was done and Portal knew it was done. And that was why they let him go. And it looks really bad, but it was probably one of those hard management decisions, which was the right one. Yeah, so there you are. Shall we try not to crash into the surface now? Let's have a look at where we are. So we are 19,000 meters above. We're 100 and yeah, it's too much. I can ignore this safely. We will burn in a second. So, so Ron Smith just commented, HardThrasher, my grandmother was part of a hush-hush, don't talk about it job with the Royal Navy. Job at the University of Cape Town in World War II. Any idea what that would be? There were an awful lot of hush-hush jobs, and I have no clue, but I would guess in South Africa it would probably be a listening station, particularly if she's a woman, because a lot of women were involved in listening to the transcripts of Morse code, which was transmitting Enigma coding, so probably that would be doing the job. It would probably be an intercept station of some kind. They were 90% women. So if you look like Bletchley Park, which of course HQ, was 85% run by women, which often gets missed because guess what? The boys are off shooting at one another, and so you only had a relatively small number of men. And all the clerical stuff that you and I might take for granted now, for example, this evening, loads of people sent me questions, 116 questions, and I didn't know how to deal with them. So I asked ChatGPT to do it. And what you would have asked in the back of the day was you asked the typing pool, right? And that's not disrespectful. That's just like what you would have done. And let's take some speed off. Bear with, and I will try and answer some more questions in a second. We're just going to drop down. We are 7,000 meters above the surface, so 7 kilometers, I should say. And this, of course, is Minmus, which has, as you can see, not much to it and no atmosphere. We're going to try and land on here if we can. I should probably just extend a solar panel. No, I've got a couple open. We're already good. So, what kind of drink is on the menu tonight? Well, this evening I have a bottle of Arran single malt 10-year-old non-chill filtered natural colour. It's from the Arran distillery, which is quite a new one. It's 46% by volume, and I have drunk too much of it. So yeah, good. Let's drop some more speed because we should be able to drop over the top here. Keeping an eye on 1 meters per second. Right. Slowly in. ChatGTP got said commit seppuku. Yeah, no, I get that, right? Using AI is a real challenge to work out what's good and what's not. I will not, for example, use any AI to generate images. I will not use AI to do my research for me, but I will use AI as an example. Today I was doing it to check which divisions have been in Burma and give me a list of them and the names of them. That's really handy. So I use it as a search tool. Don't use it as your psychologist, and don't use it to replace other people's jobs. That's what I'd say. Right. Okay, so the Aaron whiskey, yes. So here, well, here's the thing. Look, so we're all here together, kids. We're all here together, and we're having a lovely time. So, whiskey. I'm not answering any questions. I'm just going to do whiskey because fuck you guys. I mean, I'm allowed, right? This is a little thing I get to do. So, everybody's probably familiar with the terms proof and overproof. So back in the day, fuck this burn up. Never mind. Back in the day, you would have had any spirit that was over 40% would be considered to be proof or overproof, and you didn't really know if it was overproof or not. So what you would do, there are a couple of ways of doing it. You could put some of the alcohol down in a dish and you could set fire to it. If it burnt with a blue flame, or it didn't burn, so if it didn't burn, it was underproof. If it did burn, it was probably proof. If it burnt with a blue flame, it was probably overproof. But it's a bit tricky. The real trick, the real gem, the one I love, is what you would do is you would soak your gunpowder in alcohol, and if your gunpowder burnt, it was overproof. But you had no idea. It could be anywhere between 40% and 90% or more. Probably you'd know if it was more than 90% because it would just go boom, which meant that, like, you got the gin crisis in London. I fucked this burn up. I need to just quickly sort a thing out. Bear with me. We're all gonna die, baby. We're all gonna die. Oh god. 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 Right, hang on. There we go. I want to be over here. That'll do. Right. So you set fire to your gunpowder, and that would tell you that what you had was overproof, which is all cool. That meant that if you were buying it though on the street, which a lot of people would have been doing, and a lot of it was made, like in a bathtub, and that wasn't ideal from a quality point of view, so you didn't really know if what you were buying was 40% or 90%. So it could send you blind, burn out your liver and kill you stone dead, or you might have a lovely evening. You just didn't know. But that's where proof comes from, and that's why most spirits are 40% to this day. But actually now, because we can do specific gravity, which is how we can tell what alcohol is within a particular thing, specific gravity suggests that you probably want to have a spirit which is over 40% and then dilute it back to 40%, and that's probably ideal for most spirits. They've like maybe some weird things around tequila and other stuff they make from cactuses in Mexico, because, I mean, what else are you going to make alcohol from? Frankly, you live in Mexico, so why wouldn't you make alcohol? But yeah, there you go. Oh God, this has died. Why has this died? Hang on a moment. I'm just going to land and then I'm going to sort this out. I've just had a crash signal out of YouTube, which is not ideal, so you may not be able to hear me anymore. Well, I'm still here, apparently, so that's good. And I seem to be landing with enough go to make this okay. So let's see what we're doing. we should probably land with less than 5 meters per second, I would say. Probably maybe even a little less than that. But I'm conscious of how much fuel I'm burning. So we're just going to dump the old girl down there. Landed. Oh yeah, baby. Right. Let's get these going. Let's get that going. So these things, and this is very much an experimental craft for me. I should have set it up properly earlier, but I didn't do it. I don't think. Did I? Maybe I did. You can set up these action groups in here. No, I haven't done it. And normally what I would do is I would set up an action group that would just do the whole thing in one hit so that we didn't have to worry about it. And obviously I'm doing this normally for my own pleasure rather than embarrassing myself in front of you chops. Right, let's get this. Okay, that looks beautifully ugly. No one cares. I'm not a Kerbal player. Right, deploy my drill. I've got a little built Kerman in the top here. Core temperature looks okay. And I can start my surface harvester. Have I got enough cooling? Let us find out. EPO X3P says, are you religious? No. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So, oh, and I'm actually, that's harvesting ore at a reasonable-ish rate. Okay, good. Not a true KSP landing, nothing exploded. Nothing exploded yet, can we please say that? So, Guzi Hero says, thank you for the £5. What is the best food in the world and why is it Staffordshire oatcakes? Well, I'm slightly ashamed to admit I don't think I've ever eaten a Staffordshire oatcake. I didn't even know that was a thing. So I feel bad. What is the best food in the world? I had a lovely pizza earlier. If you sat me down and said, right, you're going to get up against the wall tomorrow morning and you can have a last meal, maybe that's an easier question to answer. What would I have? And the answer is I would have a nice bottle of Premier Cru Burgundy, which obviously I drink every evening. You're right. Nuit Saint-Georges might be nice. That's a very nice place. Nuit Saint-Georges, that'd be good. I could live with that. And then I would have a steak, decent sized steak, not a huge one. Probably I'd have a fillet steak. I would have gratin dauphinoise. I would have green beans with some butter on them, haricots verts, maybe some spinach with it, nice little dollop of mustard, and I'd have a pair of beautiful blonde-haired sisters giving me a blow at the same time. Perfect, lovely meal. Good. So, where are we? Let's go to... so, Jude asked me a question. So, this is Jude Quats... I cannot say this. I'm going to say Jude 5704. UK preparations for sea lion. I think what they mean, and I think they were following on from a previous question, was what were the UK's preparations for sea lion? This is going to take forever, so we're going to speed this up a little bit. The answer was they were pretty extensive given the time frames. The biggest thing to remember with sea lion, apart from what the Germans were going to do, so assume the Germans are coming, right? I mean, and that's a whole debate, and lots of people will say they were never coming. Not an unreasonable position to take. If you take the view that the Germans were coming, what were the British going to try and do? And the answer was, oh, hang on. Oh shit. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Hang on, bear with me. That's still 30 minutes away. Hang on. Sorry, I was just in the middle of answering a question and I need to go to that. Let's do that thing. hang on just a moment, and I'll come back to Sea Lion in a second. This is proper multitasking, and normally when I'm playing Kerbal Space Program, my tongue sticks out the corner of my mouth and I can't move because I'm thinking so hard. I don't quite know why I thought this was a good idea. Space refinery. Where did I put the bloody... Where's my fuel tank? That's me rover. Where have we put my tank? Oh, bloody hell. If I go there, maybe I can see it. Ah, here we are. Cool. Yeah, so the UK preparations were dreadful but good at the same time. So what happened in the fall of France is we wound up with all of the French fuel that was going to be delivered, which most of which was coming out the Persian Gulf, right? So we had a pretty clear idea about like how much fuel was going to be available and how much we should ship to France. And we had far too much fuel, and it was high octane stuff. It was the good stuff that the Americans had taught us how to make, and which we'd wound up making in Persia in large volumes. We had more petrol than we knew what to do with. And so if you read the preparations for Sea Lion, basically all the defences involved using shit tons of petrol to burn the Germans on the beaches. And so you wind up with this whole thing where there's a plan around the key beaches to literally set the sea on fire. I don't think it would have been a lot of fun if you were a German Fallschirmjäger, or actually probably more accurate, I suppose, a Lancer coming on one of those barges, or pity the poor buggers, the part of the Panzer Corps, because they had this whole thing where they couldn't figure out how to float the tanks, so they didn't bother. They were going to drive across the bottom of the sea. And no, I'm not kidding. Literally, they were going to put barges on the surface with air pipes down into the Panzers, and the Panzers were going to somehow drive across the seafloor. I don't think it was going to end well, particularly if the sea was on fire. So yes, that would have been bad. Right, where are we? Hang on. Hunter asked me what are your thoughts on the Westland Whirlwind? Coulda, woulda, shoulda, man. It looks awesome, but twin engine fighters just didn't work, guys. I mean, they just didn't. You can try and argue that the P-38 Lightning did work because it was a twin engine fighter with more kills than I think any other fighter in the war. But then you look at what they were up against, and you look at the Lightning's capabilities against particularly the 109s and 190s in Europe, and it didn't do as well. And I'm hesitant about saying it didn't do that it was crap, because I don't think it was crap, but because I think of how it was getting used. It was used predominantly as escort. But even when you go out to Italy, yes, it shot down a lot of Italian bombers and medium bombers, but it didn't really shoot down the Italian fighters. It's tricky. It's really, really tricky. Twin engine, by and large, twin engine fighters didn't do well against single engine fighters, I should say. So the Westland looked amazing. For those that aren't aware, it was... Well, go look it up. Go and look the Westland Whirlwind up, because if there's one aircraft that should have been made that wasn't, that's got to be right up there, man. It's got to be right up there. Zadie of Glasgow, you're a lunatic. That's very sweet, but massive overkill. Thank you. I'm very touched. That will cover the whiskey. So, dankeschön. Right. Somebody's pinged me. I'm going to get rid of that. So, where are we? 19th century, other historical areas. So, Jack Shan, 21, asked me, what are your favourite century outside the 20th century? I mean, like, if you were going to pick a time to be born, you want to be born now. Now is the best time to be born, because history's shit. It's university shit. It's constantly shit. It's not going to stop being shit. But if you weren't going to be probably what you and I are, and everybody listening to this is, and a general worker, and you were going to be a gazillionaire at the top of society, when would you want to be around? It would be quite hard to have a shit time in the Raj in India if you were minted. It would be quite difficult, other than the malaria and the general level of disease and venereal disease. And yeah, there's 2 million Brits buried in Calcutta for a reason, right? But yeah, like, it would be hard to go wrong with being born around there or being around there. So that would be quite fun. I think it would be really fascinating from an intellectual point of view, but utterly terrifying to live through kind of the middle 1600s. I just think that whole period, sort of 1620 to 1690, fascinating, but utterly, utterly, utterly terrifying. And then you got Charles II, who was just a mad lad, a shagger, as they say. Okay, aircraft questions. Human 89845524, who I love dearly, but that is a silly username, my friend. Which is worse, the Hampton, the HE177, or the B-17? I mean, honestly, that is a shit sandwich of a question. Which is worse? Oh, good Lord. I suppose, technically speaking, the Hampton wasn't bad. It was just, it was outdated, and it was quickly outdated, and everybody knew it. I mean, the HE177. It was worse. It was worse as an aircraft, but I'm very glad it existed. Does that make sense? I hope so. Hang on just a second. If you could own any aircraft, this is Dishy FQ, if you could own any aircraft, which aircraft would you own? I think I've answered that. I think I would own the Sunderland. It's very cool. It's a very, very cool plane. Bear with me a moment. Hades is trying to get out the window, and he shouldn't. Oi, you? No. Come here. Yes, you. Stop being a dickhead. Come on. Bugger off. No. Stop being a twat. I do apologise. Right, okay, where are we? Let's try. I'll tell you what, I'm going to stop answering questions, and I'm just going to do this for a minute. So, where are we? We are 600 metres on intersect 1, which is the orange one there, which is a bit confusing, right? Away from where we want to be, which is this thing here. Sorry, that thing there. The T.E. Lawrence Memorial Refinery. Because we're on the inside track, we'll be going fast, but then we're going to go to the outside track, so we will slow down when we get close. So what we should probably do is put this onto anti-target for a moment and just see where our retrograde is. Oh, just there. Right, that's awkward. Why don't we warp to... Where are we? That is 11 minutes away. Why don't we warp to... Yeah, let's warp halfway. So, we're going to save again at this point. In theory, what we're supposed to do, according to the theory of Kerbal Space Program, is we are supposed to now... We're going at 5.7 meters per second... toward our target by that, and what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to line this up and gently burn so that we push this yellow marker with the crosses in it, the retrograde marker, onto this thing here. It all sounds fine and dandy. And what we're looking for is over here, so we've got that down to 90 meters, that's very close, and 8 minutes and 52 seconds. In theory, as we burn, particularly as we get closer, that number down there should start to stay about the same. this number should come down. I want to see, well, where are we? Let's have a looky here. That's that. I think I probably want to see about, I don't care about that. 3 meters, that would be about right, I reckon, when we get close. Right. So, you do know you can right click on the intercept text and it stays on screen. I do not know this. Help me. What am I clicking on? Tell me. You do know you can right click on the intercept text and it stays on screen. I mean, I've got MechJeb over here that I should probably use. But that's not what you mean, is it? God damn it. This is learning stuff live. I hate this shit. Intercept text. Oh, there. Right. Clever. I didn't know that. Thank you for the tip. Look, honestly, there's going to be quite a lot of people that know what they're doing in KSP who are about to scream out into the darkness all at once, because my rendezvous technique is as wrong as it gets. And I know it's wrong. I just can't figure out how to fix it. And normally I wouldn't embarrass myself like this, except that it's 100,000 subscribers. Right, so, oh, good Lord, right. Pops, just for clarity, whilst technically speaking, I do think of Hades as my son. He has 4 legs and a tail and is a cat. So, Daniel, yes, I got them into space. I'm terribly proud of this, and I've saved this game especially to show you, because normally there are bodies cascaded all over the horizon. Where are we? 6 minutes away. Okay, cool. Yes, yeah, I've just got your message. Thank you, Aleppo. Yes, you're quite right, and I think I've got there. If I haven't got what you meant, tell me, and I will click furiously around the screen for your delight. Right. Try being a raff-waff. I need a uniform. So, let me have a look here. This is a good question. Spectre Mosquito Enjoyer ACI says, most aesthetically pleasing military vehicle ever built. Good Lord. That's a great question. What is the prettiest military vehicle? I mean, I'd instantly say the Spitfire Mark 1 because it's very pretty and I'm British. But, I don't know. Some of the late war fighters were very, very pretty indeed. I mean, if you look at the late model P-51s, they are very, very pretty bits of kit. And even if you kind of zoom forward, I mean, look, if you think about this, the B-1 stealth bomber, sorry, B-2, that's pretty scary, but pretty. I would, be up there, Firefan 44 BCMD says, which vehicle was retired for good reasons, but you still miss? The Vulcan. No, it's really straightforward. It was. And kids, we can say this together because we're just us amongst ourselves. We don't need to tell anyone else. It was crap. Right? If you say that I said that out loud, right, I will deny any knowledge. I will just say that I never heard you and I don't know what you're talking about. But it was a bit shit. So, yes. Right. So, what's my favourite tank, says Epsilon R. Look, I'm really, really biased, but the Churchill tank, to me, is fucking cool. It's fucking cool. And I don't think you can really argue otherwise. Right, I'm just going to move this bobble on here because we're getting a bit close. God damn it. Have I got any RCS on this? Oh, hurrah, happy days, I do. My little tiny brain did kick in when I was designing it. Don't think I've got a lot, but we'll live with that. And turn the RCS off. That's 10 meters. That's pretty fucking good, kids. Right. Where are we? So. Katie Walker says Hawker Hunter was also gorgeous, and that is a totally fair point. That is a very, very, very pretty plane, beautifully made. And DeWoolley says Centurion. The Centurion looks most like a tank, if that makes sense, right? It looks like a main battle tank. It's not pretty though. It's good, and I like the way it looks, but it's not pretty. And the Churchill just has a certain fuck you to it. So yeah, there you are. Right. Atom, I am orientated retrograde. Ish. Shh, be quiet. Well, don't be quiet. Please keep sending the suggestions in. It's the only way I'm going to learn. Right, so where are we? More questions. I am also slightly conscious that this evening is the F1, which I think started 50 minutes ago. Did it? And I definitely can't stream that. Bear with me. 2 shakes of a rat's tail. Where are we? Ah, crap, we're in the middle of qualifying. Arse. Right, okay. Sorry, what vehicle was retired before we talked about it? Don't know anything about it. What car, asks Firefan, would the Ebolian government buy in 1980? Whoa, holy shit. What car would they buy in 1980? I mean, if you left it to me, I guess it would probably be a Cortina. Where are we? 4 minutes away. We're getting 10 meters away. Can we correct slightly? I don't know, guys. Right. Okay. So, what should the Albanian government help me here? What should the Albanian government buy? Okay, that's going to work, baby. Let's have a look. See what people have got to say. Oh, no helpful suggestions. So hang on. Ever thought of a video about it? Lord Asriel says, have you ever thought about doing a history of the development of the Raj? Yes, very much so. I'd really like to do that because I think it's genuinely fascinating. If you want to talk about how incrementalism happens, it's absolute. Where the fucking hell? Oh, I see. Oh, God, we're much closer than I thought we were. Hang on, bear with. Just a second. Okay, hang on. Now, this has got clever things in it. Bear with me. Oh, clever. Ooh. Right, hang on. So, this is what I want. Piss. Where's it gone? Don't break. I managed to join these two together after about the 15th quick save. Oh, look at that. There it is. Look at that. Right, let's get some of these in. Hang on. I managed to get these two things together. It took me forever. And I was very pleased to have done it. But as you can see, it gets a little bit of a rock on. And I'm not totally happy that this isn't going to suddenly rip itself apart. At which point I will rage quit and we will watch I don't know what for a bit. Where are we? That radiator does not want to retract. So I think we leave it there. Fine. I mean, who cares? Okay, we are pointing towards the enemy. Control from here. We're going to aim for that. Right. Set as target. Point towards the target. No. Don't point towards a target, because actually what I need to do, I'll turn my RCS on here momentarily. Problem with RCS is it done our fuck your process up. Right, hang on. Right, RCS off. Get control, and we put it in here. And we are going to we're going to get our orientation right. We're going to come in within 3 meters. And we're going to just push that gently, gently down. So gently. And that is within 4 meters. That's not quite where I want, but we're at 0.7. Right, point towards target. And we'll turn our action group up. That goes up to there. Maybe, if we're really, really lucky, and we don't fuck this up, RCS on, backwards, reverse. Yeah, baby! That, my friends, is how you do that. Look at that! Get in! You have no idea how long it took me to dock those two previously. Right, okay. I am saving that motherfucking game. Right, we're going to go away before they twist themselves apart. We're going to go look at something else. Okay, right. Sorry. I'm so overjoyed about that because I have fucked that up so many times. Right. Somebody asked me a question. Somebody even sent me some. Look, guys, can I just say it's very lovely that you send me money and stuff, but I'm doing this for the fun of it. And much as I love the fact that people are sending me things, and it's very sweet, really, please don't feel you have to. Right. The Kraken didn't kill me. No, exactly right, mate. No, Uton, get away from the Kraken as fast as possible. Right. I just can't believe I swung that round at the right moment. That if I had managed to style that out and made it look like I knew what I was doing, I could totally have come off like, I don't know, like Scott Manley or something. That would have been great. Okay. So now we're safely docked and not looking at whatever it's about to do to itself because I forgot to turn the SAS off. Okay, Cowgirl Bookworm says, favourite whiskey, and proper spelling, whiskey with an E or whiskey without an E. So as to spelling, I'm a dyslexic and I don't care. You spell it how pleases you. And if you want to get cross about it, you're a wanker. Favourite whiskey? Tricky. I've been quite lucky over the years. I've had a lot of really interesting whiskies. I would probably go Glenflicar 18-year-old is probably my favourite whiskey, but one of the reasons it was my favourite whiskey was no one knew it existed, and as a result it was reasonably priced. But it is insane money now. So in the UK, you're probably looking at spending 150 to 200 quid on a bottle that 10 years ago you would have bought for 50 quid. I'm not doing that. It's nice, but it's not that nice. The Arran I'm drinking right now is young. It's a 10-year-old. Yes, it's a single malt. Yes, it's slightly overproof. It's very good. And I would say it's 80% as good at that, and it's 40 quid a bottle. So why would I spend 3-4 times that much on something which isn't really worth it. Bog standard, as it were, bog standard, quote bog standard, it's not bog standard, like a whiskey that isn't a special whiskey that was casked in a particular way or whatever. I would go for Auchentoshan. I would go with the American Barman mix, which is a single malt in that it comes from the same distillery, but it's actually a blend of, let me get this right, oak and, fuck, I can't remember what the other one is, sherry. And it's lovely. Go look it up. Auchentoshan, Glasgow distillery, very reasonably priced. I think you get a huge bang for your buck off the back of that. It's probably 40 quid a bottle, which is not cheap, but it's not bonkers expensive either. I think that's probably my favourite whiskey in the world right now. There you are. And I don't care how you spell it. Best tea brand, and why is it Yorkshire tea? Why would it be anything else? That's self-evident. Let's see how our little all-lifter is doing. Honestly, Yorkshire tea. If you're drinking PG Tips, are you wrong? Are you communist? You know, are you a deviant? Do you have sex with sheep? You know, just do the decent thing. Buy Yorkshire tea like any normal, right-thinking human being would. We'll speed this up as it tries to fill itself up. Oh, hello. Why has that failed? Sunrise. That's working. Has he died? Have we lost connection? What's wrong with the drill? Oh. Vessel. Electrical charge is good. I take it we've exhausted everything. Okay. Right. Okay now. Breaking my balls, man. You're breaking my balls. Right. Okay. Don't care. We're not transmitting anything. Transmit the data if it makes you feel happy, but that's not what I'm trying to do. This is why, kids, when you are building things, you make bloody sure that you check what the hell you've built, right? And you put in the action numbers, because I am clicking bloody everything. I do know how to not do this. I just completely failed to set it up. Right. How full are we? Half full. It'll do. I can't be asked. Because this isn't even the main mission. This is just getting fuel. Right. Okay, bear with me a moment. Sorry. I do apologise for everybody that's watching this back again. I'm doing a certain amount on screen and I'm also talking, and doing two things at once, it turns out, is not in my skill set. So, let us have a look here. Let's pop the chat out. I have a bottle of Way and Nephew Overproof Rum 63%. It's really nice, that. Absolutely, definitely, but be gentle with it because it will hurt you the next day. Sydney says, how can you praise Yorkshire tea and then say PG Tips drinkers are commies when DPRY existed? Do you know what? I take that on the chin. I take that on the chin. Sometimes you're wrong about things and you need to say you're wrong. And I'm wrong. Okay? You're quite right. And look, Yorkshire tea is obviously the only tea that anybody should ever drink. But there are brands out there that are subhuman. So I talked earlier on about giving everybody a chance and not being mean. But if they don't even drink PG Tips, I mean, are they actually human? That's a question you need to ask yourself. I can't answer it for you. I'm just saying you need to ask the question. Right. So, right. let's go to cars. This is one of the joys of dealing with an AI tool, because what it's done is it categorized a bunch of questions under, and I quotes here, cars, Sundays, lifestyle. How are those things related to one another? Presumably only for a creature that has never existed in the actual world. What is your attainable dream car? If we're honest about these things, absolutely anything in this world is attainable if you're prepared to pay the price. So what I mean is, yeah, I could probably go out and buy a car tomorrow and it'd be great for 30 seconds, and then it would be not cool at all. Hang on, I'm just going to try and blast off here without killing a rooster. I've got 502 meters per second. I had 1,300 meters. I'm not going to make it. Son of a goddamn bitch. It's because I put the weight on, innit? Fucking hell, mate. Fucking bollocks. All right, fine. Toggle up our gear. 460. We need to be going straight over to there. Oh. Bear with. Me. I'm just looking here because what I need is not a lot, but I need 5,000-ish, I would guess. I do know what, I should know this, but I don't know it. 4,000. We're looking down here, by the way, kids. 4,000. That should be enough. Fuck. Fuck. I don't think we've got enough. Oh, no. I mean, we can live without, but we're going to have to kill Bill Kerman if we do. And frankly, I've got a bunch of Kerbals lost already. Bumhole. Right, okay. Can I circularize? Maybe. Control locked. For God's sake, it's because I haven't got any comms, because like a moron I forgot to put a bloody, doohickey on the bloody vehicle, because I thought I've got Bill Kerman on board, he's a fucking engineer, he can do maths, why would he need... Okay. Where is our... Apparatus. I can't see it, so we're going to do this. No. 5.3. Okay, we will go flat at 5.3 and we will see if we can't whiz around. God damn it. I hate this stupid game. I don't know why I thought I would embarrass myself in front of it. I think I'm going to run out of fuel. I don't like this game. Right. Okay, that'll do us. So, theoretically, for those that are not familiar with this game, so this is your apoapsis. So that's the height above the planet I'm going to get to. That's the maximum height. If I burn there, so if I use my energy there, and I've only got 321 meters per second, I should, in theory, if I put this on prograde, I should, in theory, be able to get that periapsis, which at the moment is going to land me 31 kilometres into the surface, which is not survivable. I should be able to get that out. Ooh, look at that. I think I can. Okay, well, that's a start. And that is less than I thought it would. Okay, all right. So I think we're circularised-ish. Not well, but we are circularised. So that's the plot that's on here. And I need to get out to the refinery. Huh. I think what I should have done, in hindsight, is wait... is wait until this was about here before launching, but that didn't occur to me. Okay. Okay, you know what we're going to do? We're gonna save, because I'm not a proud man. I'm going to go from there. Right. Whilst that figures its life out, we'll let this whiz round until sort of over here, by which point this is going slower. So hopefully by the time I'm out here, I should be able to pick it up over there. We'll see what we're doing. So, attainable dream car. I had a 350Z, Nissan 350Z at one point, which was really cool. And I would highly recommend a 350 or 370 if you can find one that isn't pissing oil over the floor. That's great. Otherwise, I would definitely recommend a Subaru Forester, the XT one from back in the day, or a PPP Subaru WRX. Both of them are great. They are affordable-ish if you want a really good performance car. Otherwise, to be honest with you, it's what you need in order to move yourself around the place, because a dream car is a car that works, that you can have, that you can insure, that you can fuel, that you can go from point A to point B in. That's a dream car. Cross that barrier and you can do loads of other stuff too. Unattainable dream car is obviously basically anything made by Aston Martin. I have a really good old standing mate of mine, and we've both got a deal that if one of us wins the lottery, or you chaps decide to donate heavily, then whoever buys an Aston Martin first has to insure the other party on it for a year. I don't think it's going to work, but you know, if it ever did, that would be cool. Right, where are we? So let me come back to the chat. Bear with me a second. Out of power. I'm not out of power, Atom. I'm okay, mate. I'm okay. Just a little faith, buddy. Little faith. DeWolf has just sent me. I don't know what those are. I assume that's Swedish krona. Have a beer on me. Thank you, mate. Saber or pistols? Oh, pistols every day. I'm a coward. I don't want to get stabbed. Just shoot me in the head, man. Like, don't fucking stab me. That shit sucks. Lord Azrael says, what about people who import tea imported straight from China? Well, as long as we're swapping it for opium, it's fine. Can you squeeze any extra tea? Yes. So, Anonymous, yes, you absolutely can, but not enough to make a difference is the answer to that, mate. So you can definitely do stuff with the thrusters, but you can't do it. You can't do it. Icon says, no comms because communism. Yeah, screw you, man. There's no communist here. I'm friends with Periapsis. Yes, I knew her at university. She's a lovely girl. Do anything you asked. MX-5 for the win. Do you know what? Honda NSX, and I can see where you're coming from, because you've got Honda NSX in your title and you've gone MX-5. And to be honest, I respect both of those choices, because actually that's a really good point. An affordable car to buy today that's a supremely brilliant sports car, even now an NSX would be great. I mean, I very nearly bought a Honda S2000 back in the day. I'm very glad I didn't, but I nearly did. Right. Okay. Dream car, Citroen SM. Yeah, maybe not. Okay. Right. This is going to be the last lot, chaps, and then we're gonna close this down, because as much fun as it's been to chat to you all, I need to go and watch the F1 qualifying. Random silly questions. Favorite Bond? I mean, Pierce Brosnan, obviously. don't know why that's a question. Which Royal Navy ship is best girl? Mary Rose. Hitler or Stalin? Neither. There was a question. And you know who you are who asked this. Shag, marry, kill. Goering, Trafford Lee Mallory, and who was the other one? What was the other one that was in there? Hang on, just a second. I'm going to have to look this up because I was cross about this. And Carruthers, you know who you are. Hang on. This is the joy of this is. Oh my God, it's disappeared. Did you withdraw the question, you coward? I assume you didn't. I assume that's my stupid thing not being able to find it. Hang on. I'm going to have a look here because this was such a terrible bloody question. Bear with me. I appreciate this makes excellent YouTubing whilst I'm looking up for the bloody thing. I really apologise for going completely silent on you, but I'm so stunned by the question that I now actually can't find the question itself. I believe the question was Shag, marry, kill, Goering, Trafford Lee Mallory, and then I think it was Stalin. And I don't know what to do with that. I don't even know where to go with it. I'm so confused. But I suppose if I had to, I'd shag Trafford Lee Mallory on the basis that I could make that hurt. And then I'd probably kill Goering, and then I'd just avoid Stalin. I think, maybe. But I mean, maybe you kill Stalin and you shag Goering, but the idea of that's making me throw up in my mouth. So I don't know what to do. Yeah, anyway. Thank you for that, Carruthers. I really appreciate the question. So a couple of people and it's disappeared entirely. Stillwell. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Stillwell. Oh, God. Stillwell. Well, there's a question. Do you shag Stillwell or Stalin? That's an open question. I don't really know the answer to it. You're right, Stillwell. Fuck. Like, why would you even? You're in a room with Trafford Lee Mallory, MacArthur, Montgomery, and Patton. Who do you punch first? Trafford Lee Mallory. It's just like I'm sorry, it's instinctive. I don't punch Monty because I think he was great. I definitely need Doug in the bollocks. And Patton, I don't think he warrants it. I don't think he's worth bothering with. That's pretty deep. Somebody asked me a question earlier on. So, okay. I should say this now, right? Because it's worth saying out loud. Somebody asked me about the NCAC and the role of America in Burma. I'm going to be really, really quick, and I will do this more properly later. The NCAC was the Northern Combat Area Command, which was up in the northern part of Burma. And in terms of combat troops, so that is boots on the ground, there were probably 20,000-ish Americans fighting on the ground in Burma. Which, if you think about it, that's a lot of fucking people. I mean, that's more people than were fighting in Iraq in the Second Gulf War. Right? Not more people than were deployed, but more people that were actually fighting. But it's a small number in the grand scheme of things in the American war effort. It's a very small number in the grand scheme of things in the theatre. They were really important and influential because they helped the Chinese to create proper divisions. So Chinese divisions were typically around 5,000 troops. Everybody else's divisions were around 12,000 troops. So the Americans managed to get themselves to a point where they could, or the Chinese to a point where they could deliver a 12,000 man division. So important. The challenge was that every time they tried to go into combat, Chongqing, which was the nationalist capital, wound up countermanding an awful lot of the orders that were given, so they never really got those divisions into action the way that they'd hoped to. So they took Myitkyina, which was up in the north, and they took Bamho, which was really important, way up in the north of Burma, in order to be able to open up the new road from Lido in India to basically Bamho in Burma that would then go into China. So that was an important thing that they did. Moreover, that was not easy, right? Merrill's Marauders took 80% casualties doing it, and no one really remembers anybody other than Merrill's Marauders. And British 36th Division was up there as well. So I want to do a thing on NCAC as part of it, because I think it's really important we bring it forward. But you've got to remember it's a relatively small part of the bigger campaign. Everywhere else in the world, American troops were, if not leading the way, then very, very close to parity. In Burma, they really weren't. Then you get into the air power effort, and it's a different thing again. And there are 300,000 Americans deployed into the CBI theatre to do the air power bit, most of which is to get stuff over the hump, some of which, and really important part of it, probably 30, 40,000, are there just to provide air support for 14th Army. And without them, the campaign could not have happened, right? And the guys that flew in that campaign flew in a joint RAF-USAF command, equally commanded by both sides in a completely unique thing. It's really cool and a little bit commie and quite sexy in my mind. Yeah, it's wicked. So there you are. Human 8984 sod off. No, I will not say that word. Right, so I'm going to wind this down, I think, because I think I've answered all the questions I can reasonably answer, and it's turned out I cannot play Kerbal Space Program and also answer your questions, and I apologise profusely. Are there any last questions from the chat that you would particularly like to get an answer to? Go now. Whilst you're doing that, Satch Media says, I heard on this podcast focusing on the Burma campaign that more Americans fought in Burma's, I assume that's than Brits. Is that accurate? Yes. Yes, more Americans fought in Burma than Brits. But, and a huge capital letter but, that's because the British were mostly commanding Indian West African troops, West and East African troops, and so in terms of total manpower deployed, there were probably, give or take a bit, about 100,000 Brits, about 300,000 Americans, but the 100,000 Brits were commanding the better part of 1 million Duke forces, let's call it that. Okay, let's try and take this from the top from when I said go. Human, yes. Shoe size, 11. Favourite F1 driver, Damon Hill. Good morning from Australia. How are you? Very well. Fave Dino. How many clones of yourself do you think you'll be able to beat in a gorilla with no weapons fist fights? None. Are you proud of me? Yes, absolutely. The Edge, of course. Would you like to fight one... Hang on, wait, let me get this right. That's not correct. Would you like to fight one comet-sized duck or 10 comets or 10 duck-sized comets? I'd fight the big one. Is this a question? Probably. Have you heard of Ducknolian? No. Can you answer questions and play the games at the same time? No. Thank you for the stream. Mummy, Daddy. Is the S-tank a real tank? Don't know what that is. If you were a tree, what kind you would be? Oak. Obviously, I'm British. A favourite dog breed, Clumber Spaniel. Gran Turismo, obviously. Supervillain power, X-ray vision, because I'm a massive pervert. Does soft thrashing not do it for you? No. Can you ride a motorcycle? Yes. Salt and vinegar, obviously. A car? No. Funniest unexpected fact you found during your research. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a really good one. What was the funniest unexpected fact I found during my research? I think possibly that Werner von Braun set himself on fire twice, which is funny, if nothing else. What inspired you to these videos? I've covered already. What plane do you most wish had gone into mass production? I've already covered that. How trolleyed are you now? If I drew a crayon line on the bottle 1/3, is that helpful? Opinion of Stafford Cripps. That's the guy that got accused of the murders, right? I don't know. Subaru Forester 2007 2.5 litre 6-speed manual. Yeah, baby, Johan. Yeah, that's the shizzle. Cheese and onion, no, God, no. Right, I think we're there. So, folks, thank you very, very much for this evening. I appreciate your company. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate you bearing with me through the technical scuff. I appreciate particularly those of you that offered me advice about how to play Kerbal Space Program. You are wonderful human beings who deserve an audience that can actually do what you ask them to do. Thank you. And I will hopefully see all of you very soon. The next Burma video will come out, with all being well, in, I'm hoping, 2 weeks time. Let's call it 2 weeks, and it should be with everybody. I'm hoping I'll have it with patrons in a week or so, but I've got a lot of work to do. That will be the shaping, the setting. I found a brilliant book by a lady called Lucy, and her name escapes me, which is called Jungle Commandos, which is all about 3 Commando and the ancillary folks doing Operation Romulus. So I'm going to use that for the next one, which will be done pretty quickly thereafter, and I'm hoping we can keep a pace up. So ideally what we'll do is we'll get to about September time and we'll have done the second part of Burma. That's the plan. No plan survives first contact with the enemy. We will also then do, at some point, a video on the Vulcan, at some point a video on the atomic bomb, at some point a video on Operation Matterhorn. Those are my 3 which are right in front of me right now. So thank you so much for coming along, guys. I seriously appreciate it, and thank you for all your support. And I will see you all very, very soon.